Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable Access, and SMSUmustangs.com. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director here at Southwest Minnesota State University, and we talk Mustang football again this week with the head coach, Cory Sauter. We'll take a look at this past week's game versus Winona State University. Mustangs coming out on the short end of a 47-20 game, and then we'll also talk about this upcoming week's game versus Minnesota State Mankato, a game that's the final game of the season, home game for the SMSU football team at the Regional Events Center. So lots to play for coming up and lots to talk about on this week's show. And joining me is the head coach, Cory Sauter. Again, the Mustangs coming off a 47-20 loss to Winona State on Saturday evening in Winona. Mustangs led 14-13 late in the second quarter, but 10 straight points by the Warriors gave them a lead of 23-14 at half, and the Mustangs just were not able to overcome that second half deficit and fall to the Warriors in Winona. And Coach, we knew coming into the game that the Warriors were probably better than their record indicated, and they showed that their losses this year were against some very good teams. And just matchup-wise, they had some mismatches, and they took advantage of those, and their running backs were outstanding, and their offensive and defensive line showed why they're one of the best in the conference.
Yeah, they have some special players, and we knew we had to get a few things to go our way in order to just stay in the ball game. You look at their offensive line. They're a special group, just sheer size-wise. When you're on the field and you walk by some of these particular players, it's very impressive, and their backs are about as good as they get in our conference. Every time they touch the ball, you literally hold your breath and hopefully someone is near him, because if you give him any space at all, they're going to make you miss more often than not. And so you got to give them a lot of credit. We had to play fast, play well early in the ball game. We didn't do that. We got off to a slow start. Gave up some easy points there, and we're able to battle back to our kids' credit. But all in all, we just didn't play the complete ball game that you need to have against this type of team.
Well, in that first half, you did have a couple of really nice scoring drives. We'll take a look at the highlights later on in the show, but you look at a 75-yard drive, 13 plays, another 10-play drive that went 71 yards. You kind of had your way with the Warriors there for a while in the second quarter, and you forced a couple of punts as well, but what's tough to do is just to maintain that. But again, there were signs that even against a top-level team like the Winona State, you guys were able to do what you wanted to and kind of dictate the tempo.
Yeah, well, the first series, of the ball game, the second play, we ended up having the turnover. We had the pick six. Not a good start. It was they brought some pressure. The safety essentially didn't break stride coming down into the box to kind of cover the area where the backers blitzed from, and we threw an inside slant, and Tyler didn't see the guy at all, and ended up getting on the board right away. But we did battle back. We were able to put those drives together, and the nice thing is we had a nice mixture of run, pass, three-step, screens, and really had them on their heels for a while. We were able to sustain, convert third downs, and stay on the field and ultimately score. And that was good to see, because down 13-0 on the road against a really good team, that's not a fun place to be. And so we were able to battle back and get the lead. And it was unfortunate we allowed them to score, before the half, and really thought if we had things in line, we would have ourselves in position to really have the lead going into halftime.
Yeah, again, the Mustangs led 14-13. Winona State came down, took the lead at 20-14. SMSU then were not able to put together a drive and were forced to punt. And a great punt by Mike Wank, booted it to 65 yards. Went out of bounds at the 8-yard line late in the first half. They used their timeouts to the previous Mustang possession to kind of get the ball back, and they went down and scored, and a big play with some missed tackles, and they got those 3 points. And as you mentioned, that was kind of the difference, because then they got the ball to start the second half, and they're just a high-powered attack, and that they put up a score, and it was 30-13 before you even 30-14 before you even knew it.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, they did use all their timeouts, and so we thought we were in good position to, especially when you pin them inside the 10. to go that distance and put points on the board. I think they were just going to feel it out and really see what happened on the first couple plays, whether or not they were just going to be content with the score or try to go down the field. They had a couple big ones on us, and the rest is history, and they were able to tack on some points. But that there made it a 2-possession game, and then coming out the second half, you put that on top of it. It's not a good situation to be in.
Well, we've talked about this particular player quite a bit, but the day Wank had 5 punts, an average of 50 yards. Had a couple inside the 20-yard line. I mean, he's right there at the top in the conference in punting. He's also doing the place kicking for the Mustangs as well. He had a 52-yard average in 5 punts. Pretty amazing things, and he's kicking that ball as good as anybody in basically college football right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally punting like an NFL punter right now. He's given us tremendous field position, great hang time, great distance. I mean, some of those punts were just unbelievable. I mean, we're in a position where you can essentially punt it as far as you want, and you would figure that it wouldn't go in the end zone. And we kind of joked as he was running off the sideline that we need to be in a pooch situation when we're on our own 30-yard line, just the way he was hitting them. But he's just having a great year, and it just makes such a huge difference when you can have a guy that when offensively that if you don't get it, you can just punt it away and give your team a good opportunity to really pin them back. But he's really playing well, and I think he is currently leading the conference in punting, and with 2 games left, and so that's kind of has been his goal, is to lead the entire conference, and I think he's well on his way.
Yeah, and of course, getting those punts inside the 20-yard line too. I think he's close to double digits in that. A great tool to have for the Mustangs. Some other stats from the contest: Mustangs quarterback Tyler Prashon, 23 of 36 pass attempts, completed 23 of 36, 199 yards. Top receiver Tyler Erickson, 7 catches for 68 yards. And Cody Condon had 4 catches for 44 yards. Top rusher for the Mustangs, Gannon Moore. Can't not talk about what he did. He had 3 touchdowns, tied a career high for Gannon, 63 yards rushing on 14 attempts, and he got some more touches. Unfortunately, Warren Matthews went down with an injury in the first half, and Gannon took over. But those two are pretty much 2 kind of different style running backs, with both very talented and could fill in no matter who's playing, either Warren or Gannon Moore.
Yep, and they're both productive backs, and Gannon's been a guy that's been patient. He has been productive when he has been given an opportunity, and especially once we get down the red zone, he's a tough guy to bring down, and that showed in the game with the 3 touchdowns. Sometimes you'll see on the clips we don't block it perfectly, and not even close to perfect, and we leave a guy free and he makes the guy miss or stiff arms him. So he's been a very good back to have as far as coming in and giving either Warren a breather, or obviously now coming in with Warren injured. So he's been a very good thing for us, and not only as a running back but as a guy catching the football. He's a guy that's a definite threat that way as well.
Well, again, the Mustangs falling to Winona State 47-20, so the Mustangs now 3-6 overall and 3-5 in the NSIC, and they'll be returning home this Saturday, an afternoon game, 1 o'clock, for the final home game of the season versus Minnesota State Mankato, who right now just we're tied for first place in the NSIC, top of the standings with St. Cloud State. They did lose to St. Cloud, but a very tough ball game coming up on Saturday, and we'll talk about that later on in this show, and talk about the seniors as well, playing their final home game. But going back to the Winona State game, Coach, it was good on the offensive line. You got John Cox back at the tackle position on the left side, and again, trying to get healthy again, and it's just that tough time of the year, but good to see him back in there, and again, using that depth has really helped on the offensive line.
Yeah, the O-line as a whole, played solid. The guys that they were going against were pretty good, and we had to try to protect them a little bit with 3-step and with screens and our run game. But towards the end of the game, when we're in an obvious passing situation, things were starting to break down a little bit. We need to really put ourselves in a position where we're two-dimensional and not so much pass happy with that. But all in all, I'm really happy with the way they've progressed, and it's going to be that way really the next couple weeks. The last 2 weeks, not a whole lot's going to change. And the good thing now is those guys have been able to get a lot of reps and have improved, and so we just got to push forward.
Yes, it should be exciting here in the last couple of weeks. Again, the Mustangs playing at home against Minnesota State on Saturday, and then the final game will be at the Metrodome against Concordia St. Paul, 5 o'clock start on November 12th. Again, the Mustangs traveled to Winona State last Saturday for their conference game at Winona State University. Let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday's game in Winona at Midwest, or actually Verizon Stadium. We start off in the opening quarter for the Mustangs, a screen to Warren Matthews right there early in the ball game.
Yep, just a wide screen, and we get really good blocks on the perimeter by our receivers. We're always just trying to find ways to get him the football, get him involved, and this is one of those ways with the screen play. High reward, low risk.
Continuing on, Tyler Erickson with a couple of receptions here. He mentioned 7 catches for Tyler here in the game.
Yep, in this situation here, we're in a 3rd down. They're playing a 2-man coverage, and which means there's 2 deep defenders and everyone else is man underneath. Tyler does a nice job keeping the play alive, scrambling to his left, and ultimately finding Erickson along the sideline.
Again, Erickson, 7 catches for 68 yards. Number 17 finds another one right there for a 1st down.
Yep, here he's lined up on the left side. Tyler's looking to throw to his left here and end up throwing down the middle of the field. Great protection, really allowed that play to happen.
Tight end Cody Condon, number 16, with the reception right about the 15-yard line.
3rd and short here, and it's a tight throw. It's right in between the linebacker and the safety. Cody's expecting to get hit there and nestles down inside and makes a great catch.
Mustangs on this touchdown drive, capped off by the run by Gannon Moore.
And Pashong ended up audibling to this play to get to the right play, and you can see Gannon here will end up bouncing it to the outside. All the gaps inside are filled, and we get a nice seal there, and pretty much walks in.
And that made the score 13-7. Mustangs trailed, and a big sack by the team's leading sack man this year, Mark Schulmeyer.
Yep, it comes off he'll be on the left side of your screen, lined up over their tackle. He fakes outside, swims back inside, and wraps up the quarterback. Very nice play. And again, it gives you good field position as well.
That wraps up the 1st quarter. And on the defensive side, Joe Stupka, the junior, with the pass breakup, number 13.
Yep, and a lot of times we use him blitzing off the edge. Here we ended up dropping him in coverage, and he gets that hand in there to make the play. But it's nice being able to use him in a lot of different ways, up on the line of scrimmage, in coverage, as a deep safety. He does it all and has done a nice job all season long.
Stupka in the ball game, too, had a solid game tackles-wise. I had 6 tackles along with that pass breakup. And here's a tackle here by Ben Peterson, who's battling some injuries the last month or so, but getting a chance to play, and he wraps him up, number 92.
You'll see Stupka forcing it inside, and Ben Peterson's there to chase it down from the backside.
And then Adam Iverson with the tackle. And again, this is the time where the Mustangs forced a couple of punts and really got after the Warriors.
Yep, Iverson here really splits the two blockers and really forces it to the outside, uses the sideline as his help, and really stretches the play.
And back to the offensive side, Tyler Tondrum has not used it much out of the backfield catching the ball, but here's the first catch of the game for Tyler.
Yep, and with Warren kind of dinged up, we had to use Tondrum a little bit more, and Tondrum's one of those guys, one of the fastest guys on our team, and again, we just try to find ways to get him the ball. Again, very nice blocking down the field. We get a nice play.
Continuing on, the Mustangs again a 10-play drive to take the lead. Here's Tyler Erickson with the reception.
Yep, one-on-one coverage on the outside, a tremendous one-handed catch. You'll see from the end zone how difficult this catch was. Tyler puts it in a position where he can make a play. But I tell you what, Erickson with this one-hand stab and falling down and making the catch was a tremendous play.
Incredible play, and the Mustangs cap off the drive with a Gannon Moore touchdown.
This wasn't blocked well at all. I mean, we leave that safety unblocked, untouched. Gannon's patented stiff arm move and gets to the outside and makes a play. But really, we don't have anybody to block that guy, and that's all Gannon. I mean, that's really him having the will to get in the end zone. And again, he has enough speed where he can get to the edge.
Yep, and the strength, and you saw it there for the Mustangs. Jacob Letzow with another tackle here, playing well. Number 93, a tackle for loss.
Yep, and you can see, it's nice to be able to get some of these plays in the backfield, and we do a nice job of containing, and really is there to wrap up in the backfield.
And this is a team tackle here coming up. Mustangs just all over the place, not giving the Warriors any kind of room.
And this is really our only chance against Winona, is to get a lot of people near that line of scrimmage, and because once he breaks that line of scrimmage, he's a tough back to bring down.
Tate Bunkers had a career high in tackles for the Mustangs as well, and a big hit here for number 3.
Yep, and really saves a touchdown. There's really no one else left to make that play. If he doesn't make that play, that's a touchdown.
Move on now to the third quarter. Mustangs trailing here at this time, and John Kersbergen and Joe Stupka combining for a tackle. Kersbergen with a total of 10 tackles tonight.
Yep, you see both of these players really in great position to make the play. We've got one outside, one inside, bottle them up, and this is really how it's supposed to look. They've got in great position, and that's a sure tackle.
Stupka again, number 13, safety position, and he'll make a tackle coming up here and just fill in the hole.
Yep, and he's played, as we mentioned, played linebacker. He's played safety. You see him here in a linebacker position, not on the line of scrimmage. So very versatile player, sure tackler, and shoots the legs and makes a fine tackle.
Long rush for Gannon Moore here in the third quarter, helping the Mustangs try to get back in this ball game.
Yep, and Adam Olson here makes a really nice block on the perimeter. You'll see from the end zone that he'll block the safety that's coming down to the right here, and that's really what springs the play to the next level. Once you do that, now you're on the corner and you make him miss and you get yourself a nice play.
Mustangs were forced to punt, and here's one of those fine punts by Mike Wank inside the Warrior 10-yard line.
Yeah, he was just on all night, just hitting the ball, great contact, and this thing, I mean, it just takes off. And you do that consistently, you're going to put yourself in great position for your defense, and he's done that all season, really. We wouldn't trade him for anybody in our conference.
A tough spot for the Warrior return man. He's drifting back so far, didn't know where he was, and he took the fair catch.
The 10.
After Winona State's score, Tyler Tonderman kickoff return, showing that ability. Big return for the redshirt freshman.
Yeah, you talk about field position. This is your way of doing it here, and we get a nice block by Kaz and Gannon, and those guys lead the way, and then Tondrum has the speed to get to the outside, and he's hitting the hole pretty hard and get to the outside, and down the sideline he goes. But again, I'm very proud of our special teams in general, and they've had a solid season if there is a bright spot. 52
yards on that return. Cody Condon on a screen. Mustangs would eventually score on this drive.
Yep, we got a throwback screen to the tight end. We really don't block it very well. We have 2 offensive linemen blocking the same guy. Ideally, you'd like to have one block him and then the other guy go up to the safety. Could have been a much bigger play, but this was a critical situation. We're trying to get something going and get the throwback, but you see there 2 guys blocking one. We could have had one more guy that could have maybe sprung it inside the 10-yard line.
And capped off 18-yard touchdown run by Gannon Moore, his third of the night.
Yep, nice job making the safety miss, breaking tackles, and just keeping his legs moving. And guys gave great effort across the board, offensive line, receivers, tight end. And you can see from the end zone here, just a nice little crack there, makes that guy miss. And again, he's a tough guy to bring down.
And one last highlight, John Kersberg, and a big hit here in the fourth quarter.
Yep, not too many highlights in the fourth quarter, that's for sure. And but it was good to see the guys finish and play strong. But you can see here making a nice hit. I mean, gets a big hit on the running back, and again, you need to get these types of plays in the backfield near the line of scrimmage. Just such an explosive player that you give him a crease, he's going to go a distance.
And that was it for the highlights for the ball game. Mustangs again fall 47-20 to Winona State. So again, the Mustangs now 3-6 overall, 3-5 in the NSIC. Winona State now is 5-4 overall and 5-3 in conference play. So the Mustangs now will move on, forget about that ball game, and get ready for the last home game of the 2011 season, and that is Saturday against Minnesota State Mankato, a team the Mustangs have never beaten in school history. So a chance to do that, a chance to play some spoiler roles, Coach. A chance to make some history, beating a North Central Conference school that came to the NSIC a few years ago, and also for the seniors. I mean, this is the last football for a lot of these guys. We've talked about this throughout the season, but their last home game, and these seniors have played at the Regional Event Center their entire career. They have had, their redshirt year might have spent some time at the old Mackey Field, but this field and the stadium has meant something to them, and they'll be ready to go for these guys on Saturday. Yeah,
there's no question they'll be ready to play. We're playing another great opponent, and you had to remind me of the fact that we've never beaten Mankato. And some of the other teams, it's been 20, 30 years, but Mankato has been a very solid program over the years. It's very similar setup as last week against Winona. I mean, it's a big physical football team, a lot of talent. They're vying for a championship, and so they have a lot to play for. And so we're going to get their best foot forward. And but the good thing is we're playing at home, and we'll prepare as normal. But it is going to be our last home game, so there will be some emotion involved with that, with a lot of those seniors, and it'll mean something a little bit extra to them. And I would imagine it'll be a special moment for them with it being Parents Day, and having them introduced with their kid coming off the field for the last time. So it'll be all in all a great afternoon, and a 1 o'clock game, and we're definitely looking forward to getting after it. Again, we're going to have a few things go our way, but that's why you play the game, and that's why we're excited for this opportunity. You only get 11 each year, and so there's no reason to cash in the season. We have a lot to play for, and I really think our kids are excited. They really are. We kind of talked the other day about just not even worrying about what our record is. I mean, it's really irrelevant right now. We could be whether we're 7-1 or 7-2 or 2-7, it really doesn't matter. We're playing another football game against another really good team, and in order to beat them, you have to play well. And we can't just play two out of our 3 phases playing well, or a half a game or 3/4 of a game. You have to play a full game, all 3 phases, and if you do that, then maybe you win. And you look at our last game, we turned the ball over twice, and Winona didn't turn the ball over at all. And again, it's that turnover ratio, and you hate to bring it up all the time, but it's so true. I can't say it enough. And part of it is them making good plays and us making some mistakes, and so we'll continue that theme, and if we do protect the football, do some nice things, I like our odds.
Well, I thought you brought up a good point a few weeks ago, and there's only 11 games, and there's so much work. I mean, you'll have once the season's over, they might have a couple of weeks off, but the off season starts again. There's the lifting and the film work, and so much that goes on that, I mean, it's hard not to get up for a football game. And again, there's still lots to play for. Minnesota State's going to come in trying to make a playoffs and compete for a conference championship, and it would be real sweet to spoil that opportunity, and the Mustangs can hopefully do that on Saturday. And before we wrap up this week's show, again, some of the seniors, we don't need to mention all of them, but it's just a unique group of guys that have stuck together. When you have a number that's around 10 like this, I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but you've got some transfers in there, some guys, fifth-year seniors that have been through the program for 5 years, but they all kind of coming together, and they all just make a big impact on this program, and helping in so many different ways, from defense, special teams, long snapper, a guy like Cal Kosmiskis, who hasn't had a lot of glory, but just battled through and does the little things as a fullback and as a long snapper. And those are the kind of guys that you love to see in your program.
Well, it is, and when you only have a smaller number of seniors, you can really keep track of some of those impact things that they've been a part of, and some of it isn't even on the field. It's those off the field things, the leadership in the locker room, the glue during practice. That there's some days where guys don't feel like practicing. They're tired, they're beat up, and those seniors are the guys that get things going. And so I couldn't ask for a better group of seniors. Those guys work their tails off each and every day, and they all impact the game each and every week, and have really done a phenomenal job as far as buying into the program and really believing. And those are some special players that we're going to be losing after this season, and so we just need to play well for them, for their sake, these last 2 weeks. And I know they'll have a lot of great memories of Southwest Minnesota State, and they'll be the people that would be supporting us down the road when they're getting older and have families. They'll be the people that'll be following us the most. And so I owe a lot to them, just because of what they've given to us. And I can't say enough of good things about that group.
It'll be fun. Again, Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock at the Regional Event Center. We'll honor our seniors prior to kickoff, about 12:45 or so, and then the kickoff at 1 o'clock versus the Mavericks from Minnesota State Mankato. And as we mentioned, the last game of the season has been moved from St. Paul at their stadium in St. Paul for Concordia. They'll be moving it now to the Metrodome. It'll be a 5 o'clock start time at the Metrodome, that final game on November the 12th. Well, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Cory Sauter Show. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I am Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode here on Marshall Cable Access and at the website smsumustangs.com. We appreciate the support here all season long. Until next time, go Mustangs!